So he sallallahu alayhi wasallam got the axe and he said Bismillah, and he hit. We all know that this is one of the main or of the clear examples of the many examples that Muslims do not commit aggression against others. No. Muslims were, like in this battle, defending themselves against the aggressors who came from all sides to try to finish off the state of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muslim state. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, made them lose. So when they were digging that trench to defend themselves, Rasulullah came sallallahu alaihi wasallam to help them remove that big rock. And he said Bismillah, and he hit sallallahu alaihi wasallam the first time. And a spark of light illuminated. And he said, Allahu Akbar, I have seen the White House, not the White House of America. I have seen the White House of Kisra, of the Persians. He said, we have been given the keys of the White House, of the Persians. The other time, Allahu Akbar, Constantinople, Allahu Akbar, Sham, Allahu Akbar. Imagine in such a condition, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam was given that a great hope. And Sahaba, of course, they were listening. So that was in their minds. That was in their minds that these places will be conquered in a way or another. And now the time came in the time of Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu. They were trying to fulfill this prophecy. They believed it will take place. They did not sit or sleep. No, they worked hard and the time came. Sayyiduna Umar wanted, as we mentioned last time, after many battles in Iraq between the Persians and the Muslims, Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, after one of those battles, which is called the Battle of the Bridge, or the Bridge of Abu Ubaid, it was really, really big defeat for the Muslims. More than 3,000 were killed of the Muslims in that battle. So Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, he wanted to go by himself. And he gathered as many people as he can to protect the remaining group of the Muslims who were there and to make a big defeat to the Persians. We mentioned that Sahaba did not want him to go because, you know, when the leader, the major leader of the Muslims, he's with the army and the army gets defeated or is defeated, it will be it will have very bad impact on the Muslims, on the rest of the Muslims, that they are defeated and the Khalifa is with them. This is why Sahaba radiallahu anhum, particularly Sayyidina Abdurrahman bin Auf, he suggested that, no, please, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, don't go. Please don't go and stay here and you can just manage the affairs and prepare the battle or prepare the army and give them your advice without needing to go. And he approved and he said, who do you suggest? He said, Al-Asadu fi barathinihi, Sayyidina Sa'ad. He said, the lion. So he likened him to the lion. Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. Who was he? One of those who were giving the glad tidings of Jannah. A great man. Khalu Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Anyone knows why he's uncle? How is he his uncle? Because he is from Bani Zuhra, from the tribe or the clan of Zuhra. And the mother of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is from the same clan. Doesn't mean like he's the brother of the mother of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. No. The Arabs call uncle or khal, particularly anyone who is related to your mother is considered like khal, which means uncle, maternal uncle, if you will. Okay? So Rasulullah gave him that prize, by the way, and he has many blessings. Sayyidina Sa'ad In one of the hadith, he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, هَذَا خَالِي, this is my uncle. فَلْيُرِنِي أَحَدُكُمْ خَالَ, show me your uncle, this is my uncle. So what a great praise he gave to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And many other hadith. We know the famous narration, إِرْمِ سَعْدْ فِدَاكَ أَبِي وَأُمِّي, I sacrifice my parents for you, O Sa'd. Throw and shoot at them. And he was the first one that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gives him this sentence. The Muslims almost 30,000. Imagine, 30,000 warriors, 30,000 soldiers. But the Persians were at least 3 times. At least 3 times. And you all know, and we all know, dear brothers, that almost in all of the battles that Muslims fought, always the number of the Muslims is less. Yet they get the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As Allah mentions in the Quran, وَكَمْ مِنْ فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةً كَثِيرَةً بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. How many times that a few group defeats a big group by the permission and the help and the support of Allah, and Allah is always with the patient ones. Before we get into the battle, there's a very, very important wasiyah or will or advice or counsel that Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu gave to Sayyiduna Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu. A very important and very famous statements that are common in our tradition. They are taken from this wasiyah of Sayyidina Umar to Sayyidina Sa'd, and we need it more than any time. We need this wasiyah. We need to learn it word by word. So he said to him, O Sa'd, لا يغرنك من الله أن قيل خال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وصاحب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. O Sa'd, right from the beginning, don't be deceived by the fact, or don't get some pride by the fact that you are the uncle of Rasulullah and you are the companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't let this fact make you show any type of arrogance or any type of pride over the Muslims, or any feeling that will make you feel that khalas, I'm the companion of Rasulullah, I have been given the glad tidings of Jannah, Allah will give me victory. Don't just let this idea which is correct, or this praise which is correct, don't let it be your main thing. No, you have to work, you have to prepare, you have to take precautions, you have to prepare your army to put plans, etc., etc. That's the point. And Sayyidina Sa'd, we know his dua was accepted. He was among those whose dua used to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he told him, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ لَا يَمْحُ السَّيِّئَ بِالسَّيِّئِ. Allah does not wipe out the bad with bad, but He wipes out what is bad with what is good. There is nothing, there's no lineage or no relationship between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His servants except for His obedience. Means Allah will not give you support just because you are the cousin of Rasulullah or the uncle or the whatever. He will give support to those who are obedient to Him. You want success? You want success in your life, in your business, in anything you do? The criterion and the factor of success is ta'ah, obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he says, all people, the noble ones and the lay people, are in the sight of Allah equal. Allah is their Rabb, is their Lord, is their Creator, is their Sustainer, and they are His servants. The preference in Allah's side is by avoiding sins, and they can get what Allah has. What does Allah have? The blessings, the victory, the mercy. They can get what Allah has by what? By obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, look at the matter that you saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with. Look at his tradition. Since he was sent until he passed away, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and stick to that tradition. This is my advice to you. If you leave it and you neglect it, then all of your good deeds will be spoiled, will get nullified, and you will be of the losers. Allahu Akbar. Very clear, very direct. Very clear and very direct advice to him. In the other one, he told him, radiyallahu anhu, I'm commanding you and all of the soldiers with you to have taqwa of Allah in every time. Here's a very common statement that scholars quote from this long advice. He said, taqwa of Allah is the best uddah. وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ. The best uddah, the best preparation for the battle. And we have many battles, right? It's not only fights. We have battles with bullies, with those who bully us, with those who make bad comments on us. We have battles with our egos, we have battles with our devils, we have many types of battles. He's saying the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best preparation to meet your enemy. وَأَقْوَى الْعُدَّةُ فِي الْحَرْبِ. And the best and the greatest preparation at the time of war. So I command you and those who are with you to be more protected and more to avoid sins much more than you avoid your enemies, and to shield yourself from sins much more than you shield yourselves from your enemies. That is for us. Shield yourself, protect, fortify yourselves from the sins, and even more than you shield yourself and protect yourself from your enemies. فَإِنَّ ذُنُوبَ الْجَيْشِ أَخْوَفَ عَلَيْهِمْ مِنْ عَدُوِّهِمْ. The sins of the army are the most frightening thing. Even they're more scary than their own enemy. Why? He says, because Muslims will be given victory because their enemies are disobedient and disbelievers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَوْلَا ذَلِكَ لَمْ تَكُنْ لَنَا بِهِمْ قُوَّةٌ. If it was not for that, then we are equal in number. We are not equal in number, and we are not equal in preparation and in the means of war. In number, they're always, most of the time, 99% of the times, they're more than us. In preparation, they have the weapons, they have more time, especially the Persians. The Persians, this is an empire. They have centuries of experience in war and fight, especially with the Byzantine Empire. But the Muslims, they were this is 14th year after the migration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just 14 years before this battle, they were running away from their hometown. But the Persians, they have an empire, and we see it during the battle. During the battle, the Persians in this battle, they used elephants. They used elephants, huge elephants that are shielded with all types of iron. And on every elephant, there's like a big seat where are there many warriors, many soldiers, and they're having like very long swords or spears. Imagine, how can you stop such? So Muslims, they were surprised, and the horses of the Muslims, and it's not used, they're not used to such tools or such means of war at all. So in number, they're more. In preparation, in means of war, they're much more. So if we are equal to them in disobeying Allah and making some sins, then they will have victory over us. So this is what Sayyiduna Umar is saying, radiyallahu anhu. He's saying we are being given victory just because of their sins, because of their disbelief. Now if we also commit sins, then in this way we'll be equal. So they will get the victory over us because they have more number, more preparation, more tools, and more means of war. وَإِنَّا لَا نُنصَرُ عَلَيْهِمْ بِفَضْلِنَا وَلَمْ نَغْلِبْهُمْ بِقُوَّتِنَا. We will never have victory over them just because of our physical strength. We will not have victory over them by our physical strength. It's only by Allah's support to us. Then he said, Wallahi, every sentence in this wasiyah is extremely important for every one of us. وَعْلَمُوا, you have to be aware that in your path to this battle, there are protectors with you, the angels. And they are protectors, and they are at the same time recorders. They know what you are doing. So feel ashamed of them. فَاسْتَحْيُوا مِنْهُمْ. Feel shy of them. Don't do sins while you are going for the sake of Allah. Do not say, this is very important now. And many Muslims, they fall into this mistake. Do not say our enemies are worse than us and Allah will not give them victory over us even if we make sins. No. See, some Muslims, they think, khalas, we're Muslims. Allah will not give them victory over us in any way. We are better than them. So this type of arrogance is one of the main reasons for defeat. And we know in the battle of Hunayn, Allah mentions this Surah At-Tawbah. وَيَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ فَلَمْ تُغْنِ عَنْكُمْ شَيْئًا. Remember the day of Hunayn when you felt arrogant because of your big number. In Hunayn, Muslims have really big number. One of the soldiers said, today we're not going to be defeated because we have big number today. Allah made them fail in the beginning of that battle. That was a big defeat, and at the end Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supported His beloved sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who remained alone with few of the companions. What was the reason? That they showed off. They felt, we have big number today. We're not like the previous battles. No, today we have big number. No. And same thing here. Don't say, these are worse than us. Allah will not give them victory. But no matter what we do, Allah will give. No. There are laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in this life. Sunan, they call it sunan. Ways and laws that Allah put in this life, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give support and victory to those who have taqwa of Allah, to those who fear Allah, and to those also who prepare their best. You do your best, you prepare whatever you can, then you put your trust in Allah and you avoid the sins, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you victory and success in all of your actions, in all of your affairs. He said, don't say our enemies are worse than us and Allah will not give them victory over us even if we make sins. Because there are many people who were taken over by people who are worse than them. Just as Allah made the fire worshippers take over the children of Israel when they disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then he told him, ask Allah to give you support against your own selves. Allahumma a'inna ala anfusina. Oh Allah, give us victory and give us support against our own egos and desires. Ask Allah to give you support against your own selves, just as you ask Him to give you support against your enemies. Very important advice. This is why one of the nice dua our sheikhs taught us. Allahumma ansurna ala anfusina hatta nantasira ala a'da'ina. Oh Allah, give us victory against our own selves, means desires and egos, so that we get victory against our enemies. Allahumma ati nufusana taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha. Oh Allah, purify ourselves and guide us. You are the best one who purifies them. He said, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this for us and for you. So he's telling him also, I'll make this dua. Don't think like I'm giving you this, I'm better than you. No, I'm also making this dua for myself. And also take care of the Muslims and be kind and gentle with them. And do not overburden them. And if there is any chance to give them some rest, give them rest. because you are going to an enemy who is residing in that area, and you are travelers, and every week sit for at least 1 day so that you give rest to your soldiers and they prepare themselves and assemble their issues and prepare their weapons, etc. وَنَحِّ مَنَازِلَهُمْ عَنْ قُرَى أَهْلِ الصُّلْحِ وَالذِّمَّةِ. When the Muslims in Iraq, towards that battle, they took over many villages already. So he's telling him, don't let your army settle or camp, right? Camp near those villages of the people of Dhimma. Those people who did not fight us, and they accepted to come under the control of the Muslim state. And Muslims, they left them to worship whatever they want to worship, but Muslims took over the state. So they submitted, and Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu is telling him, don't let your soldiers camp next to their villages and towns. Why? So that Muslims will not annoy those people, will not make it difficult for them to live their normal life. And also, don't let any person of your companions enter those towns or villages unless you trust their faith and character. So he never allowed and accepted that any of the Muslim soldiers go inside and take something or steal something or behave in a way as now most, if not all, of the modern armies, where they enter, and we saw how they commit all types of inhumane practices, like raping women, like killing, stealing, plundering, all types of practices that are absolutely inhumane, as we have seen in pictures and videos, whether the American army or the Russian army or the Syrian regime army, or all of those ugly armies. We have seen Sayyidina Umar is warning his commander, don't let anyone enter unless someone that you trust his religion. Means he has a good character, he fears Allah. وَلَا تَرْزَ أَحْدَ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا شَيْئًا. Don't harm them in anything. Allahu Akbar. Look at this command from the Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and look at the practices of that bunch of kids who are distorting the picture of Islam and acting in the name of Islam, who are enslaving women in Iraq. When they just took over some villages, they enslaved their women and they started selling their women, and they started, look at the huge difference between true Muslims and fake, ugly Muslims who name themselves Muslims but they have no relation to Islam, and they do not represent us or represent Islam in any way or by any means. They have sanctity and dhimma, they have protection that you are tested to be loyal to. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in the famous hadith, the authentic hadith, whoever harms a non-Muslim citizen called dhimmi means he has been given the pledge of protection by the Muslims. He's telling us sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever harms a dhimmi, I will be his opponent on the day of judgment. These are the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as in the authentic hadith. Whoever harms a non-Muslim citizen, I will be his opponent on the day of judgment. Despite all this, see how these people act. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Then he said, 4 more minutes to finish this class. This class is 30 minutes. As we always make, but we try sometimes to make it less, but we're not going to exceed the 30 minutes, inshallah. He said, وَلَا تَنْتَصِرُ عَلَىٰ أَهْلِ الْحَرْبِ بِظُلْمِ أَهْلِ الصُّلْحِ. Don't try to take support against the people of war, means those who are fighting you, by wronging those people with whom you made a treaty or reconciliation. Don't mix things together. These people, You have made reconciliation with them, you have made an agreement with them. Don't now utilize them or exploit them against those who are fighting you. Don't mix things. Now, sometimes we mix things. Some people come to say and tell you, this country is Dar Harb, is a house of war. It's not a house of war. And then they apply some rules of the house of war to this land, which doesn't apply. And then we have things that do not make sense at all. Do not make sense. They tell you, okay, it's fine to deal with riba with these people because this is a house of war. No, it's not a house of war. Where is the war? Where is the war? These people have given you the visa and have given you permission to stay in their country. Then you tell me this is a house of war and it's fine to sell them alcohol and sell them cigarettes. That's not correct. That's not correct. We should not mix things together. House of war is a place where you have war with. That's a house of war. He said, don't take or seek victory against the people of war or those who are fighting you by wronging those with whom you have a treaty. And then he's telling him, send your spies when you are close to the enemies. Send your spies. Be open-minded. Have open eyes, and let people of the Arabs or people of that land who are trustworthy, only the trustworthy ones, send them to get you the news. So look, with all of that wasiyah about Allah's support and Allah's protection for the Muslims, at the very same time, sending spies, planning, telling him don't send anyone that you don't trust, and send many spies and send smaller groups ahead of the big army so that they know the situation. They try to get to know the weaknesses of the enemy, and they try to send those ones with strong horses, good horses. So he is radiallahu anhu given him practical pieces of advice to get the victory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Along wasiyah, we took the main parts that we need, inshallah. He said, try to know the land just like you know the people of the land. Be careful and seek help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu al-musta'an. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best to put our trust in and the best helper for us. Alhamdulillah, with the great courage of the Muslims, they were given victory in that battle, the major battle, which was 14 years after the migration of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With the surprise that the Muslim had, with these elephants and these soldiers on those elephants, and you cannot like the elephant, only his eyes, its eyes are uncovered. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with many nights this battle went on, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped some of the Muslims. They got some spears and they hit the elephants in their eyes. And then they sent some of the other soldiers, they cut those big seats that were on the camels. Then those soldiers fell down. Then these elephants stepped on those soldiers, and alhamdulillah, by this the Muslims, they got rid of the main factor of victory for the Persians, which were those trained elephants. And alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory to the Muslims. And then another plan, Sayyiduna Sa'ad, by the way, he led the battle while he was sick, sitting in a raised place and watching and giving his plans and his instructions. Yet, with the support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with taqwa of Allah, with all of these precautions and preparations and planning, they had a lot of planning. We cannot explain it. The battle needs at least 3 hours or 2 hours to explain the details of the battle. But alhamdulillah, with the courage, with the sacrifice of the Muslims, they were able to kill those elephants, particularly two main elephants that Sayyidina Sa'ad was observing, and he noticed that all of the elephants following those two big elephants. So he sent, like, what do they call it? Scouts, like special forces. And they killed those two elephants. And alhamdulillah, the other elephants scattered around and the army started running away. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory in this major battle between the Muslims and the Persians, upon which Muslims reached the palace of Kisra as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam promised them. And we will see what happens after that, and how those treasures of Kisra went back to Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu, and what will he do with those treasures. Another miracle of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and prophecy will be applied and will be achieved. That's what we're going to mention inshallah next time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala return us to His religion and help us to follow the footsteps of those great and courageous people. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallim. Oh Allah, give support and protection to our brothers and sisters who are suffering everywhere. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Oh Allah, give us victory and help us against our own egos and desires, so that we get victory against our enemies. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad.